Hey guys, what's going on? So today I have my end of the year list. I'm doing top 5 death metal releases, album, demo, EP, doesn't matter. Just top 5. I guess I could start off. I have 3 honorable mentions. First up, I have to give it to Visceral Mass with their self-titled. I can't remember if it was like a demo or an EP, but it sounds really good. I would call it an EP. I mean, it's 4 songs. Really good fucking brutal death metal. Signed to Maggot Stomp. Maggot Stomp fucking killed it this year, like they did last year. Even more so this year. They're signing a lot of new bands. A little bit more variety. It's kind of starting to show up on the label. A few more kind of brutal bands. Some even more a little technical. Just really interesting to see the label grow. And Visceral Mass is fucking great. So go check them out. Next up, I have to give it to Afterbirth with 4-Dimensional Flesh. I mean, these guys have been around since the 90s. One of the pioneering slam bands, and they're still experimenting with their music today, which I find very respectable. I don't like it quite as much as I do their early demo material, but it's still a really good fucking album, so gotta give an honorable mention to that one. And my last honorable mention is to Molested Divinity with Unearthing the Void. Fantastic, raw, blasty sort of brutal death metal from one of my favorite labels out, if not my favorite label out right now, New Standard Elite. Pretty much everything you can come to expect with a band signed to NSE, fucking really like heavy Disgorge influence, really blasty, guttural, and raw, just amazing shit. So, alright, now on to the top 5. Number 5 has to go to Disembowel with Echoes of Terror. To me, this takes everything that's like the very stale style of modern old school death metal, and adds hooks and actually memorable riffs to it, and that's what I found very enjoyable about this album. Albums of this particular style can get kind of dry nowadays, and I feel like what Disembowel did is they took that sort of formula and they added a lot of really good fucking riffs to it that are genuinely melodic or memorable or catchy. Memorable and catchy, excuse me. And they just made a really good sort of old school death metal. And it has all the tropes that you would get with modern style old school death metal. You know, it has like the super reverby vocals, the almost HM2 sort of guitar tone. I'd say these guys kind of sound like Bolt Thrower. With a very small hint of incantation, but mostly kind of like Bolt Thrower. It's got some doomy sections, but tone-wise it reminds me a lot of Bolt Thrower at least. Just really down-tuned, chunky sounding, old school style fucking death metal. So if you're into that sort of thing, then you'll probably like this album. It's pretty easy to like. I can see why some people would dislike this album because it's a very contrite sort of style. I just feel like this album takes that style and makes it less contrite by doing it really good. But yeah, number 5, Disembowel, Echoes of Terror. Number 4 is another Maggot Stomp band, and this band fucking blew up this year like nobody's business over a release this small. This is 200 Stab Wounds with Piles of Festering Decomposition. Fantastic demo, or EP, again, I don't know the difference. I obviously I know the difference between a demo and EP. I don't know if this is a demo or an EP. It sounds like an EP because, again, very well mixed. But these guys are fucking groovy and catchy. If you think a lot of modern old school style death metal is dry, listen to this, because this thing is fucking this EP has riffs up the ass. It's just catchy. I mean, just listen to Body in the Basement. It's just ridiculously fucking groovy. So many like pinch harmonic-y sort of riffs. There's some idiots out there calling this band deathcore, which I don't understand. They don't sound anything like deathcore, and you've probably never heard deathcore in your life if you think this band is a deathcore band. But yeah, 200 Stab Wounds just really brought in a lot of groove into modern style of old school death metal, and honestly, it was just one of the most enjoyable releases I heard all year. Very, very hyped, almost to the point of being overhyped, but I think it was a very good release nonetheless, whether you think the hype was annoying or not. And I can't wait to see what they do with their full length next. But yeah, this release was this band just kind of blew up this year, and I think for good reason. I mean, there's some fantastic riffs on here and some fairly unique sort of stuff too. I can't think of another band that sounds a ton like 200 Stab Wounds. Alright, so now into the top 3. These are all great fucking brutal death metal releases. Number 3, I have to give it to Sean Whitaker with The Sickness Singularity. This was like a mixture of both of Sean Whitaker's previous projects, Viral Load and Insane Discrepancy, which I got super into both of those bands this year. So it was a really good coincidence that he put out this EP, which is like kind of his comeback release, because I guess he hasn't done anything in a while. And I was blown away by this, honestly. I expected it to have really clean production and be kind of dry. But no, this thing had kind of more raw production. This was put out through Corpse Gristle, I'm pretty sure. Brutal death metal from Texas. And I mean, Sean Whitaker's from Texas, so obviously that makes sense. But yeah, this thing has like some chuggy fucking slammy grooves like you would get from like Viral Load. But also has that sort of technical flair that you get from Insidious Discrepancy. It's just amazing shit. And I can't wait to see what else Sean Whitaker does with this like solo career, I guess. I think it's kind of cool that he's just, instead of making another one-man band, it's literally just his name, but with a fucking death metal logo. But just really good shit, like I said. Just kind of more raw production. It's still modern, like it still sounds like it was mixed on like a modern fucking computer, but it's very, it doesn't sound like super like sterile. It's still got a lot of grit to the production. It almost kind of sounds like a modern, like a really good sounding demo, but I mean that in the best way possible. But yeah, Sean Whitaker, Sickness, Singularity, number 3. Number 2, I really wanted to make this number 1, but the number 1 spot definitely beats it, but this album fucking blew me away. Number 2, I have to give to Echimosis with Ritualistic Intercourse Within Abstract Surrealism. Stupid fucking long album title. This is a great fucking brutal death metal release put out through New Standardly, and this is one of the best things I think New Standardly has ever put out, honestly. So if you don't know Echimosis, I believe they're from Taiwan. They're like a very blaster-based sort of band like you would get from New Standardly typically. But the thing is, they have slams too. So it's like a mixture of slam with like Discord worship, or more Futurity worship, I think would be a more accurate way of describing it. And it's just ridiculously fucking brutal, dude. Like the opening track of this album melted my face off. Just ridiculously fast blasts that really never let up. And then even the slams are refreshing, which is very rare, but they have some really catchy, kind of like almost confusing, but in a good way, sort of grooves. They're just ridiculous, dude. The vocals are just extremely guttural. There's reverb on them, which normally I would kind of be a little iffy on, but fucking there's a lot of reverb on the vocals and it makes it sound like a fucking, some sort of like ridiculous guttural monster, like trapped fucking in like your basement. Like it sounds like echoey as if it's coming from another room, but in a good way. It sounds fucking filthy. Really pingy snare, so if you don't fuck with that, you probably won't like this album, but I love it, and I think it really adds to the album. It makes it sound more raw and just fucking brutal. Guitars are just super down-tuned and scooped. I mean, I love the production on this thing, and I thought that this was a pretty much flawless piece of brutal death metal. Now, you already know what my number 1 spot is if you've been paying attention to my channel this year, but if you don't, I gotta give it to Defeated Sanity with the San Gennaro Impetus. This is on a lot of people's end of the year list as number 1, and for good reason, I think. This was a great comeback from Defeated Sanity. I mean, the last thing they put out, the last full length they put out at least, was Passages into Deformity, which that was like around the beginning of the decade. And Disposal of the Dead / Dharmata was a cool little experimental release, but this was a real comeback from Defeated Sanity. And I felt like this album is probably their most technical to date, but in a way that makes it even more brutal, arguably even more than they were before. It's not quite as like chunky production-wise as some of their older stuff. It's got a little bit more of a warm sort of sound to it, but it works really well. Their current vocalist is phenomenal. He sounds like a mixture of AJ Magana and the vocalist from Inveracity. And the guitar work is just super impressive on here, and of course, as usual, just phenomenal fucking drumming from Lily Gruber. One of my favorite drummers, if not my favorite drummer in the whole genre, right up there with fucking Flo from Cryptopsy. Just really fucking technical, but also really groovy fucking ridiculous brutal death metal. Best way I could describe Defeated Sanity, especially with this album at least, is progressive brutal death metal, but I can't say much else. I mean, the new Defeated Sanity just fucking annihilated everything else that came out this year for me. But yeah, that's it for this list though. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what your favorite albums were of 2020 in the description. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed my list. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and also Happy New Year's to everybody. I don't know what else to say really about it. I mean, everyone knows 2020 was a shitty year. There's not much I can add to it, but I hope everybody's doing well. So yeah, see you guys next time. Bye.